Hi guys, so today I am bringing you another 3 to Inspire challenge, and I'm going to be working in my Life Crafted album. Now the first part of this challenge is to use circles. So I've already started by printing out my full page photo, and I've added my journaling onto a circle using Photoshop. So there's going to be a lot more circles in here, but that was my starting point. The second piece of the challenge is to use multiple patterns. So you can see here I have chosen 3 of the papers from the Life Crafted kit, 3 different patterns with this really pretty floral. I've got a blue polka dot, which again, more circles, and a really subtle peachy colored pattern there. So they all work nicely together, but they all are very different. Now I've just sized that photo so it's the same size as a page protector, and I'm going to work directly onto the back of the previous spread I've got here. You can see it was backed onto a white paper, and so I'm just going to trim down my peach colored pattern so that it's going to fit onto the white backing card with just a little bit of space around the outside. And then I am going to do the exact same thing with these other 2 patterns. I am going to size them so that they are the same width too, which if I recall correctly, it's 5 inches wide. So they're 5 inches wide by 8 inches tall, the same height as the paper. And I've just made myself a little punching guide here to get the 6 holes down the side. I do have a 6-hole punch, but with some of these thicker pages, I do find it easier to just punch 6 holes with my single hole punch. Now the third part of this challenge is to use some sort of see-through element, and I am going to create this window divider card in the middle of my spread. So taking my 2 bits of card together, I have run them through my Cuttlebug with a circle die, cutting the exact same size circle through both pieces of card. I will keep those little circle offcuts for another project, but for now I'm going to create the window in my card here. So I've just used one of the other full page page protectors and just trimmed off the side that has the holes in it so that it's just a little pocket. Now I've cut the top down just a little bit so that it fits within the border of my circle, but it's going to keep all of these lovely sequins that I've picked out of my stash. It's going to keep them enclosed until I can stitch all of these pieces together to create my window. So you can see there, that's my pocket of sequins, and I've got my 2 pieces of card. And just to make things easier for myself, I'm going to use a little bit of washi tape to close up the top of this pocket and make sure none of these sequins escape anywhere. So I've just pulled the 2 pieces of card apart, and I can place my sequin window in place on the bottom card, kind of making like a sandwich here. So I'm just going to use the washi tape just to hold this plastic pocket in place until I can stitch it with my sewing machine. But what I do want to make sure is that all of these sequins are actually in the window, not on the outside around the card. So once I layer those 2 bits of card together and run them around my sewing machine, everything is all stuck down nicely, attached, and those sequins will stay in place inside the window. Now I just need to add a tiny little bit of adhesive to these bits of card just to make sure that they stay together, although they are pretty securely attached with all of that stitching. And that is my little see-through window between the 2 pages of my spread. And I love all these repeating circles all over the place. Now I'm going to work back to my first page here. I trimmed down that peach pattern and then it's carried on with my window pocket, so it's time to finish this off. I'm just going to add a little bit of adhesive and stick this onto that backing card. It's a little bit bulky from the bow that's on the back here, and this is another one of those reasons that I like the single hole punch more than using the 6-hole punch for these pages. I can slip my hole punch under that bow and just punch out those holes because they will need to go back onto that peach colored paper. And then I'm going to add my title with these really gorgeous pink chipboard alphas. I'm just pushing them out of the backing sheet first to put them onto the card, just to make sure I can fit the entire title on before I go ahead and start sticking them down. I don't want to have to pull anything off. But once I can see that it's all going to fit nicely, I can go ahead and start sticking those down just to create a really simple title. And it does bring a little bit of that same pink that's in the floral on the right back onto the left hand side of the page. The thing with using multiple patterns like this is to try and tie some of those colors together. So the floral has the pink and it does have a little bit of a peachy tone to it. It also has the blue from the polka dots on the other side. And so I'm adding the pink onto the peach side of the page again, just to pull all of those colors together so that they all work within each other. Now, I hadn't intended to do this, but I decided to add a photo onto my left-hand side as well as the main full-page photo that I've got on the other page. So I just printed out a photo of me and Jack, and I'm using my circle die and my cuddle bug again just to cut that into another circle. That's right. If you're going to use a theme like circles, you want to make sure you add them wherever you can. And speaking of circles, This Is Life Let's Explore stamp set is going to be totally perfect for adding a few more circles to my page, given that the whole stamp set is based on building these really cute customizable little explore badges. So the first thing I did was again to add some of that blue color onto the left hand side, as I used my metal dies again to create a larger circle to map my photo with. And before I stick that down, I'm going to use the circle stamp on this stamp set to just add a few more sort of tone on tone peach colored circles onto my background paper. So when you've got a thin stamp like this, it can be helpful to put the stamp onto something before you put it onto the block. That way you're making sure that you're getting the actual correct shape. Like I said, I just went and grabbed a peach ink from my stash just to add a little bit of texture and just not be too in your face as far as the stamping goes, but it does add even more circles. So I'm going to add one at the top and one down the bottom, and then my photo is going to give me my third circle. I do love working with threes and I love how that looks, so I'm going to go ahead and stick my photo down, and then I will have to repunch those holes again for the third time just to make sure I can put this into my album. Now, I can't have this stamp set out without actually building myself a little stampable badge, so I am going to use the back side of the floral paper, and you'll see why in just a second, and I'm going to stamp a few of these stamps in a blue ink to create my own little customized badge. So I stamped the circle first and then added the little clouds, because obviously my spread is about jumping in an airplane, so the sky worked nicely. And then I'm going to add one of the sentiments. I think it says adventure is out there. Before I trim that, and my metal dies didn't actually fit it, so I'm just going to use my scissors to trim that out. Now, the reason I stamped that onto the back of a pattern paper is because once I have trimmed all this out, I'm going to stick it onto my right hand page here so that it overlaps my see-through window. Now, if I had just stuck that onto plain paper, when you flip this pocket over, you're going to be able to see the back of the circle. So this way I get a nice hint of a little floral paper and it ties all of my spread together. So that is my whole spread done, and now it's time for you to take on the challenge. Combine circles, multiple patterns, and a see-through element on any sort of project, and don't forget to tag me in because I really want to see what you make. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you want to keep watching, there's a couple more videos on the screen, or why not check out my Patreon page? There are even more videos over there. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!